Okay, Marlon Schmidt, MLA for Edmonton Gold Bar here, doing another reaction to one of the Alberta Next panel videos. It's been interesting to see the on-the-ground reaction to the Alberta Next panels that have been happening. Danielle Smith has blocked media and recording devices from these events. She's stacked the room with her supporters and is only allowing favorable voices to speak and shutting off the mics of people who dare to oppose her. So obviously a sham consultation. So I guess we have to take to social media like I'm doing right now to provide an honest reaction, because this is the kind of thing that Danielle Smith does not want to hear. Today we're going to be looking at the Provincial Police Service video. So let's get started.
One idea being discussed by the panel is creating an Alberta police service to take over community policing from the RCMP.
Okay, so first of all, I want to start with questioning why she's even asking this question. She's already created an Alberta Independent Police Service. They appointed the Chief of Police of this police service on July 2nd, and they're already transferring a bunch of sheriffs over to that police service. So what's the point of asking people whether or not they want their own police force? Danielle Smith has already made the decision without asking you if you want it. So I don't know what the point is. Like, do you approve of the thing that we've already done? What if we say no? Like, is she going to backtrack? I doubt it. But let's watch the video anyway.
Today, roughly 80% of Albertans are served by local municipal police services, such as the Calgary, Edmonton, and Lethbridge City Police Services. However, Albertans living in most rural communities and a few mid-sized cities like Red Deer, Fort McMurray, and Airdrie are policed by the RCMP under Alberta's policing contract with Ottawa. And as is the case with most federal agreements, Alberta is getting shortchanged. To be clear, RCMP police officers and staff aren't the problem. They do all they can to protect us with the resources they have. The problem is Ottawa. Because the federal government is failing to provide the number of promised officers and resources to Alberta communities under the policing contract, response times are slow, staffing is stretched thin, and officers are often moved across the country at a moment's notice, resulting in little connection to the Alberta communities they serve.
You know, maybe we are getting a bad deal. I don't know enough about the the details of the policing contract to say yes or no. But it just tells me that Danielle Smith and the UCP have admitted that they're failing to negotiate a good contract for communities who are hiring the RCMP to do their policing for them. You know, it's a bold move to put out a video saying, hey, we're failing to hold Ottawa to account to the contract that we signed with them. Let's see if it works out for them.
Furthermore, because of French language requirements, English-speaking Alberta officers do not qualify for senior RCMP positions.
Oh my God. Okay, here we go. Back to French baiting, I guess. There's no evidence that French language requirements deter people from being accepted into the RCMP. And, you know, we live in a bilingual country. It's reasonable to expect that people who would be working in the RCMP nationally can have some language of French. But they're really implying here that the rank and file of the RCMP are being people are being discriminated against because they can't speak French. There's no evidence of that's true.
And ultimately, the RCMP's policing priorities are chosen by the federal government in Ottawa, rather than the provincial government in Alberta.
Well, we've had a number of justice ministers in Alberta who have been in hot water with the Legal Society of Alberta because of questionable behavior around their administration of justice. I am not particularly comfortable with the idea of the provincial government having more direction over what the police do and don't do. But hey, that's just me, somebody who has this old-fashioned belief in integrity of our politicians and the independence of the police force.
Even the federal government itself has recently stated the RCMP should transition away from contract policing when current agreements expire in 2032. Ontario and Quebec have had provincial services for over 100 years. Why not Alberta? So, what are the benefits of Alberta with...
One of the rare times when I've heard the Alberta government ask why we shouldn't be more like Ontario. That's an interesting twist.
What are the benefits of Alberta withdrawing from the federal policing contract and creating our own provincial police service to provide community policing? 1. More local, more accountable. An Alberta police service would be run by and for Albertans, accountable to our province and not to the federal government in Ottawa. Police officers and support staff could build long-term careers in the Alberta communities they know and love. And any current RCMP officers and support staff working in Alberta would be invited to join a new Alberta police service.
So here's my understanding of why it's a good idea for the RCMP to move their officers around regularly. One, it's because they don't get so identified with their community, and they can maintain some level of objectivity and independence when it comes to policing their communities. You know, we don't want a system like in the United States, where the sheriff is a local good old boy who's chosen by the local town council to pick on the people that the local town doesn't like. That's really one of the things that I'm afraid might happen if we shift to this police force. I like the fact that the RCMP come with a reasonably objective and independent viewpoint to policing and have the best interests of the community at heart without being tied to one group of local people who are on the ins and another group of local people who are on the outs.
2. Safer rural communities. With local recruitment and stable placements, rural response times would improve considerably from where they are now, and coverage would become more reliable and tailored to each municipality and region. This is especially important in underserved rural Alberta communities.
Okay, one really important thing to remember here. The government, the UCP is claiming that rural communities are underserved by the current RCMP policing. The money for the contracts comes from the provincial government in most of these cases. If you are in a community that is under 5,000 people, the provincial government is paying for that contract. If they're being underserved, then they need to pay more money. It's as simple as that. You get more if you pay more. Anybody with any experience buying goods and services knows this to be true. It's shocking to me that the UCP and Danielle Smith say, hey, why are we underserved when we don't want to spend any money on policing?
3. Flexible, made-in-Alberta solution. Most Albertans already have local police services. The province would assist larger communities like Red Deer, Fort McMurray, and Airdrie to transition to their own police services, while smaller, rural communities would be policed by the new provincial police service. And of course, nothing would change for Edmonton, Calgary, and other communities that already have municipal police services in place. But there are also potential drawbacks to consider. 1. Startup costs. Establishing a new police service requires significant initial investment. Hiring officers, buying equipment, building training infrastructure, and training personnel. Ultimately, the startup costs could reach into the hundreds of millions over several years.
Okay, the UCP is underselling or underestimating the costs here of starting up the provincial police force. Reliable independent estimates of the startup cost of an Alberta police force run to over $1 billion. So the number that they just showed there, 200 and some million, that's a quarter to a fifth of what it would actually cost to start up a police force. You know, the government is continually shortchanging healthcare and education because they say that they don't have the money. I don't understand where they're getting $1 billion to start up a police service. And moreover, if they have the money, just pay the RCMP for more police officers. Why go through all of this extra step of setting up the infrastructure for a local police force when you could just pay for more officers on patrol.
2. Loss of some federal operational funding. The federal government currently covers 30% of RCMP contract policing costs. It is therefore likely that there will be additional ongoing operational costs for the province. However, municipalities would not be saddled with those costs.
Well, first of all, if you buy this argument that municipalities won't be saddled with the cost, I have news for you. They're probably lying to you. You know, the municipalities have been saddled with the cost of services that the provincial government has been providing for a long time. I live in the city of Edmonton. My property taxes have gone way up because the province has reduced funding on municipal services drastically over the last 6 years. They will continue to do that if they set up the Alberta Police Service, and you're going to pay for it in even higher property taxes. And that's the way Daniel Smith and the UCP want it. They don't want to take the responsibility for putting the cost of these unneeded services onto you, and so they're going to set up a system where you're mad at your local city council for a decision that the UCP and Daniel Smith have made to raise their property taxes.
So, should Alberta create an Alberta Police Service to take over community policing from the RCMP? For more information, visit alberta.ca/next.
All right, well, that's the end of the video. You know, the upshot is that you're going to pay more and get less if we move to an Alberta police force. You're also going to get a police service that is less independent, more directly controlled by Daniel Smith and the UCP, who have a consistent track record of ethical lapses when it comes to the administration of justice. And moreover, the people of Alberta have a significant emotional attachment to the RCMP. It's one of the things that makes us Canadian. When we see RCMP officers wearing their red serges in the parades and at Canada Day ceremonies, it makes us remember that we're part of a great country and that we have a history of excellent policing by the RCMP. So, yeah, I don't see any upside, only downsides to the creation of an Alberta police force. This is an idea that should have been scrapped a long time ago, and I really hope that Albertans say no to this terrible idea. That's my reaction to this video. Thanks for watching.